August the 15th. This is Thursday. Larry is with us. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Today, I am furious, beyond furious, because I have heard, maybe I've got it wrong, but I don't think I am. I don't think I have, that the police officers in Philadelphia, I believe it was, that had the guy that held hostages for 8 hours or was cornered for 8 hours. And he shot 6 policemen, but thank goodness they all were released from the hospital, so that's good. And what is infuriating about it, as the police were trying to deal with the situation, there were protesters mocking and attacking the police while they were trying to do their job, harassing them. When I see this, I think of societies in history, great societies that have fallen. And we have a tremendous breakdown in society. Now, I would love to say to the people in that community in Philadelphia that as the police officers were working, by the way, the hostages, if you can believe this, were actual felons that they had gone to arrest for drug charges, and they had to go from arresting them to protecting them. Quite an admirable effort by the police beyond that of normal duty. But while doing that, they are harassed and attacked by the people, the mob in that community. And what I wish I could say is that there should be a cop-out. Now, a cop-out in the industry would be where the police would say, in effect, hey, community, if you don't want us here, then here's what we'll do. We'll just go soft on your community. We'll just be someplace else. And y'all just have fun. Just deal with your own crime. Deal with your own mess yourself. That's what I'd love to say, but I can't. I can no more say it than can the police actually do it. And I'm sure they would want to do it as bad as I would want them to do it. But they have a problem. They have taken an oath, number one. And then number two is the same problem I have. They know, as I do, that if in areas like that, if they were to walk away, leave the community virtually unprotected, leave it at the mercy of the gangs and the crime bosses and all of the crap that goes on. If they did, it would be just a matter of time until it would spread from that community to other communities around it. And eventually it would get to the homes and the lives of innocent, law-abiding citizens, and they don't deserve that, and the police can't allow it. So the police will have to continue to deal in that community with people that do not appreciate what they do for them. Isn't that pitiful? Pitiful. Now that's number one issue, or one of the issues today that has me furious. The other issue, thank you, Randy, for first notifying me of it, is our Congress women to leave in Omar. We're planning a visit to Israel. And Benjamin Netanyahu issued an order denying them access. Now, once again, Omar and Tlaib and AOC in that group, you know, if what they were doing simply affected them, that'd be one thing. But you see, by doing what they're doing, by being as anti-Israel as they are, which is their right, they have a right to be that way, and I have an obligation to honor their right to be that way. The problem is it's going to cause relationship problems between our country and Israel. Although, and indeed, I believe President Trump is 100% in agreement with Benjamin Netanyahu. I think President Trump understands Netanyahu's point that they not be allowed to come and at least participate in this summit that they're conducting. And by the way, if you think Netanyahu doesn't have the right to deny two American congresswomen access to come to Israel, let me remind you, it has forever, well, at least forever since Israel has become a nation, been a law, a real law in that nation, that they do not allow people to come into Israel that are coming to cause trouble, especially, here's the kicker, there's one condition under that law, that if someone denies the right of Israel to exist, they are prohibited from coming to Israel or into that country. And I don't need to tell y'all, but Tlaib and Omar are of the opinion that Israel has no right in the first place to even exist. So it's not Netanyahu operating outside of the law. He is actually bound to and following the law of his country.
And Larry, we're not going to hear any of that mainstream news, so that's an important point for folks to share with others.
Oh yeah, I doubt you hear that in the news anywhere. Of course, you'd have to be somewhat familiar with Israeli law, but that is one of their foundational laws. No one, not a congressman, not even a president, not a king, not a potentate, no one is allowed in Israel if they deny Israel's right to exist. The problem is it's obviously going to give anti-Israeli members of Congress in our legislature, in our Congress, people that don't like Israel, it's going to give them grounds to protest and raise hell. And thus, that's why I say these two women are causing an international scene and a potential international problem. That's the bad news. The good news, once again, is that cast of crazy women once again steal the oxygen in the air from any of the presidential candidates running for the Democratic nomination for president. So once again, with the shootings and such in Philadelphia, with the shootings in El Paso, with Dayton, now this with Omar, with what's going on in Hong Kong, those poor presidential candidates running as Democrats just can't seem to buy any press. They just can't squeak into the headlines. Now,
and they're coming up pretty close here on the deadline for being able to participate in the next debate.
Yes, yes. Now, I did see a frustrating clip just mere seconds ago, or a little, maybe a few minutes ago, whatever. And it was the governor of Pennsylvania. And he stated that he is going to have a press conference tomorrow at 10 o'clock, at which he's going to announce that they are going to he's going to his legislature and they're going to get aggressive on gun laws to prevent this kind of stuff from ever happening again. Now, guys, I'm so sick of hearing that. I could throw up. Let's look at what happened in Philadelphia. Here was a hardened felon, a man that just in his state and local rap sheet was over 27 pages long. He should be in prison right now. According to the crimes he has been convicted of and the penalties that he was given, he should be in prison today. Now, that 27-page rap sheet does not consider any federal crimes that he has committed over the years. So here we go. Here is a guy that is a convicted felon, a man who is supposed to be in jail, but once again, the black robe mob, the judges, liberal judges in that community, granted him permission to be out of jail, knowing that this man had a tendency for violent crime. He had been convicted of violent crimes. And the liberal judges let him out. Now, why am I bringing all that up? Remember what he is. He is a convicted felon, a man who is supposed to, as we speak, be in prison right now. Should have never been out. So tell me what gun laws, Mr. Governor of Pennsylvania, tell me what gun laws you could pass that would have applied to this man. It is already illegal for a convicted felon to have a firearm, period, zip, over. So why don't you put 9 million laws on the books restricting people from being able to buy guns, and see if that would have stopped this guy from ever getting a gun. See if it had caused him 30 seconds of trouble getting a gun. And any reasonable, sane, rational person would have to answer that question resoundingly no. Which is the problem when you start trying to create gun laws to prevent these kind of things, because the criminals, folks, are going to get guns. They're going to get them. They're not worried about the laws. They don't, as a matter of fact, they're rooting for us to pass gun laws. They certainly are. They're laughing, they're high-fiving. Pass those restrictive gun laws, because every time you pass a gun law, you're taking citizens of the United States of America that have a right to own and bear firearms to protect and defend themselves and their property. You're restricting their right to do so. And guess what? If the innocent citizens can't have guns, then the criminals that are going to get them anyway are going to be free to prey on the citizenry. Does any of this make sense to anybody? Anyone?
Yes, we've got comments. Check out Chicago's no gun zone. Criminals get their guns on the street. We've got, you're speaking the truth. If somebody stabs 20 people, what do we outlaw next? Knives. Somebody's saying the red flag law is no good. What about the black market?
Well, red flag laws, so you know, the reason the criminals and the liberals, the progressives, the communists, the reason they want red flag laws is because under the red flag laws as they are being presented, now President Trump is evaluating the red flag law. Presently, irregardless of Ivanka, that's not President Trump. Ivanka is not President Trump. Don't forget that. President Trump does not want red flag laws. I know for a fact he does not want them. He's willing to look at them to see if there's any way red flag laws could be applied. Now, watch this. Here we go. This is where it gets kinky. Where red flag laws could be applied so that criminally insane people could be spotted, found, and prohibited from being able to have access to weapons. But that is almost impossible in real life to actually do, and he knows it. The thing red flag laws do is they will make anyone who served in the military, technically you'll not be able to own a firearm. Plus, anybody that has PTSD or had it after coming back from Iran or Iraq, you're going to be prohibited. Under the rules of the red flag law as they're being presented, if your neighbor don't like you and calls the police and says you are potentially criminally crazy, then the police will be ordered to come take your weapons and hold them until you have a court appearance, at which point you have to prove you are not crazy. And guys, let me tell you, I don't know how you do that.
Larry, we've already had in Maryland a man die because of a red flag report, and the police went to confiscate his weapons, and he ended up dead.
Well, you know, we've gone through the gamut. You know, if you see something, remember after Las Vegas, if you see something, say something. Well, in Las Vegas, when after they said that, come to find out, people had seen something and had said something, and of course, nothing happened. And then in case after case after case, Parkland, people saw something, said something, nothing happened. El Paso, his own mother called the police. Nothing happened. Don't work. Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is Philadelphia. The problem is that society that while the police were trying to do their job to keep them safe, people were harassing and screaming at the police. The problem is in New York, where they're throwing water on policemen. You see, guys, it gets real simple. If you break down the law, this holds true today, just like it did in the Wild Wild West, just like it's done in other countries everywhere. When you break down and there is no law, one thing always wins, and that's violence. And the strong survive. The strong win. And guys, we don't want to get in that position. Somebody is not teaching their children to respect the law. Somebody is not teaching their children to respect the law officers that are out patrolling and trying to keep them safe. Somebody is failing at that job. And as long as they are failing at that job, at the levels we're seeing in America today, the disdain, the disrespect, As long as that's going on, there's going to be violence. And I got a news flash. I don't want to say it, but I got to say it to you. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, a lot worse. And as I have told you about time compressing, as we get closer to the event, you mark my words. Write this down. As we get closer to the event, and the event, I believe, my opinion, is for the progressives, the liberals, the socialists, the communists to transform our form of government into a socialist communist form of government, transforming our nation. That's the event. And as we get closer to it, things are going to start happening more frequently and even more violently. So
Larry,
with that,
Larry, they were saying today that Antifa protesters at Trump's rally in New Hampshire were told to come masked because they would be cameras there. There would be cameras there keeping an eye on who's doing what. And then, of course, we know there's the big protest in Portland this weekend. So,
well, I would say to those of you in and around Portland, please don't go to that protest. Don't be around it. Don't be any part of it. If it is one of the planned, I repeat, this is accurate. If it's one of the planned Soros, Antifa, antagonist events, there's going to be violence, but it's going to be people faking, playing like they're conservatives, but they're really not. It's going to be a show. As far as President Trump speaking in, where is he speaking, New Hampshire or whatever?
yes.
They're always there. The protesters are always there. And, you know, whether they've got something worked out with the mainstream media so that they've really got good camera angles and they've got everything they want, I don't know. Would not surprise me.
They were saying that the police would be heavily armored and be prepared for that, and therefore keep yourself covered and be ready for.
That's not true. That, I assure you, is not true. The police will go to that event. It'll be very dangerous for the police for the very reason that they will be ordered down. They will not be allowed to come fully outfitted for violence. They just won't. They are never allowed to be like that at a presidential event, folks. They're not, especially with President Trump.
Okay, we've got.
They will be armed strictly with non-lethal equipment. Now, will they pepper spray them? Yes. If it gets really bad, will they tear gas them? Yes. But they would do that anywhere. But I doubt they're even allowed to take rubber bullets.
We've got some questions coming in now, Larry.
All right.
Do we need to be reading The Art of War?
No.
Okay.
No.
Jeffrey says, I'm losing faith that Barr is not deep state. Why has he only repositioned the warden instead of punishing the guards and the wardens with the Epstein death?
Barr is taking, as far as I'm concerned, my opinion, this is my opinion, he's taking and being very careful to take the absolute proper protocols and steps accordingly. The prison warden, due to the situation of staffing, the understaffing of that prison, that has been going on for quite some time. The prison warden should not at this point be held directly responsible for the death of an inmate. Now, so therefore he should be just transferred to another facility until the investigation is completely finished. Now, once the investigation starts to reveal what went on, if it turns out the warden was somehow directly involved with the plot, the plan, whatever, then he will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The two officers that supposedly went to sleep and didn't do their job, they were suspended, and they will be suspended as protocol says. Remember, I hate to say this, guys, because it doesn't really work for us, but it's the way it's supposed to be. Attorney General Barr must operate under the proper rules of conduct, which are they technically are innocent until proven guilty. So their suspension is proper. No other thing should be done to them until the investigation reveals more information about what they did or didn't do. Now, I can tell you, this is not my opinion, I can tell you that protocol normally would be, since they falsified saying they did make the run-throughs every 30 minutes when in fact they didn't, ordinarily there would be minimal punishment for such, falsification. But in this case, those two officers are in serious trouble because they are going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for falsifying federal documents, meaning they're in a lot of trouble. And I'm sure Attorney General Barr believes that the best way to resolve this case and get to the truth would be to squeeze those two guys and hopefully get them to talk. And so that's why I can tell you they will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and they will pay severely for what they've done. What else you got, Miriam?
Yeah. Is there any way to get people in the wrong to get remedial reading and writing, or is solitary confinement the best solution for violent people?
Oh, wow. Guys, I'm not the one to counsel you on that. I'm not a student of prisons and what works with certain types of prisoners and what doesn't. So please forgive me. I'm just not studied in that area enough to make a comment that'd be worth giving you.
Okay, another question related to Epstein. Can they go after the English or princes, or I would assume other world leaders? Could this country,
yes.
Could this country handle the truth if it came out about how crooked the system is?
I fear, listener, I fear that this nation is not particularly ready to accept the truth. I fear that we're not. And I don't know that we can handle it. But I have a feeling that if President Trump wins in 2020, the American people are going to get a real, complete dose of the truth about the system and the absolute corruption that has controlled America for many, many years. Many years. Whether we're ready to handle it or not, guys, I don't know. But I can tell you this. presently we're handling it as a nation by denying it or just not paying attention to it. Those days are soon to be over. Pretty soon, one way or the other, whether Trump is able to eventually get it all out on the table for everybody to get a real dose of what's really going on, what's really been going on, either that's going to happen or the communists are going to win and the country's going to get a real dose, but it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. What you got?
That's all we have right now. Somebody's suggesting we need FISA warrants for Antifa.
The problem again with Antifa and Soros and all the anarchists that are trying to create the environment in America to make it collapse, to make it blow up, is who you're going to call. See, as long as we're in this who you're going to call situation, you can only go so far. So if you believe today, for example, that Attorney General Barr could go to the FISA court and get warrants, or go to any court and get warrants to go after Antifa, you'd be sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Even if you found a lower judge that would permit it, it would be resoundingly shut down in the upper court. And even if a state court, one of the things that's been talked about, maybe access some of this Antifa and all of this anarchist activity, or try to quell it at the state level, where we have a better chance of getting fair treatment in court. It will be immediately paralleled into federal court, and then the federal court, federal superior court will shut it down.
That's not good.
Mm. This is why I've tried to warn y'all about our judicial branch of government, the fact that it is totally permeated with the communist or the communist philosophy, mentality, operational procedures, management, etc. That's dangerous. We're in extreme danger right now. Anybody else has a question, shoot it in.
Mary, you asked why what? Not sure what Mary, write your question out a little more thoroughly. We'll ask another one. Do you know where Soros lives?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Why did Trump not stick up for or back Australia in the laser attack on them in the South China Sea?
I do not know.
Okay.
Y'all, and I'm sorry on so much stuff that I don't know. I'm just trying to cut to the chase. I don't mean to cut y'all off. I mean, but I think it's unfair for me to tell you stuff I don't know. And I don't know enough about it, by the way, to even really give you my opinion. I just haven't paid that much attention to some things, some areas, and maybe I should, but I haven't. And by the way, China has made the declaration to Hong Kong that they're ready to apply the iron fist. Now, literally translated, they're telling Hong Kong, we're fixing to come in and put you down. So look for that to go very badly soon.
Why is it so difficult to shut down Soros's and Antifa funding?
Well, once again, who are you going to call to do it? You would think that there would be a million different ways to go after inappropriate activities by George Soros, whether it be foreign money trying to influence politicians in America, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, to me, he's just about violated every kind of law there is towards creating and causing havoc and riots. But once again, the situation is today that he's protected by, guess what? The court system. If Trump issued, just as an example, if he were to go to one of Soros's, well, let's say he goes at Antifa, and due to the fact that they have been known, there is proof they have caused conflicts and riots publicly. So you would think maybe the president should issue an executive order restricting funding to Antifa. That would go immediately to the Ninth Circuit in California, and it would be stayed and shut down.
I think you just handled what's going on in Hong Kong. So what's the next one? What can people do at the local level?
You should be doing what we've talked about here. It seems lame, and it seems like it's not enough, and it seems like there ought to be something more specific I can tell you at this point, but there's not. What you need to be doing is seeking out, either through your Facebook connections or through your just personal relationships, you need to be seeking out people that are basically in agreement with President Trump. Maybe they're not dyed-in-the-wool Trumpers, but generally are favorable to President Trump and certainly the things that he has done. And start communicating with them. Start telling them what we talk about here. Please. That is your job. That's what this whole election, believe it or not, has come down to. Now, President Trump, I am informed, intends very soon to modify some of his pre-campaign advertising to start more addressing the soft base of his. I have not seen an example of what they plan, but let's hope that they do come up with something that can help us. But to get to the masses, President Trump's just going to have to buy it. He's not going to get it from the media. He's not going to get it from the press. So if it's going to happen, he's going to have to buy it, and he knows it. He's going to have to buy ads and tell the story.
Okay, we've got a few related questions. Are they still building a case against the Clintons, CIA, and FBI? Will we see any of the Cabal arrested soon? Is there any true hope for this republic?
There are active cases, quite active cases, against the leadership of the CIA, the FBI, past leadership, FBI, CIA, NSA, and, may I add, Obama's administration. Very active. And also included in that is Hillary. So, yes, it's very active. Very, very active. Now, will you see it soon? I don't know. I would not be surprised. I'll put it this way. I will not be surprised if you hear reasonably soon that Barr has called for a couple of grand jury probes. But a grand jury probe or trial, whatever you want to call it, is simply a precursor to a prosecution. So I'm speaking hypothetically. So let's say they had a grand jury convened and they dealt with Comey. And of course, as with most grand juries, they'll convict or vote to prosecute a ham sandwich if that's what the prosecutor wants. So let's say Barr impanels a grand jury for Comey, and it comes out with a recommendation to prosecute. That will be the sticky moment. Now, it doesn't mean if they give him a determination to prosecute, it doesn't mean he has to do it right then. That will be a judgment call from Barr based off what his situation with the court looks like. And right now, I don't need to tell y'all again, anything that has to go before our judicial branch does not look promising yet.
Okay, question from Nick. Do you think we need to contact our state senators and congressmen and women? What do we tell them?
I would not, Nick. You could tell them whatever you want to tell them. And even, let's say, you could motivate them to do something. Let's take gun control laws, all right? Let's say you contact them and tell them that you do not want them to vote for any additional gun control laws. They will listen to you, but that's about all they'll do. There was something that brings to mind something that yesterday, Mary Ellen, you said I needed to bring up today. Folks, listen to me tight. It looks like, that a lot of the Republicans that heretofore we have known to be Rhinos seem to be getting on the Trump train. They seem to be falling in line. Let me assure you, that's simply because there's an election coming. The day after the election, they'll be back fervently if Trump wins. They'll be back, I'm sure, fighting him almost every step of the way, I think, except for one hesitation. My point to this is, we're going to have to right now activate and get these soft-based people for Trump. We've got to get them turned on now. Now, and here's why. When whichever person comes out of the Democratic primary as the candidate, one of the first things they're going to do, guys, is they're going to denounce socialism. Do you hear me? They're going to start saying all this stuff about us being socialist is not true. I'm not a socialist. Democratic Party's not a socialist party. We want nothing to do with socialism. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to take the people in the soft base of Trump that we're trying to wake up to the fact that it is socialism. They're going to start telling you, when that happens, well, see, you overreacted. They're really not socialists. Folks, you got to act now. Now, because I promise you, whichever candidate comes out the winner, they will almost immediately make it out that they are not socialists and that the party is not socialist. And anybody saying that they are just conspiracy nuts. But right now, you've got proof. You've got the proof. They're all doing it. They've kind of toned down saying it, but they've all said it at one point in their primary run. So we've got to work now and be ready for when the candidate comes out the winner on their side and starts denouncing it. It's a lie. Please hear me. You got to hear me. The whole point of telling you this in advance is to get you ready so that as you talk to people, you can get them ready. You can tell them this is what's going to happen. So they'll know. Look at the candidates today. Look at the Democratic candidates today. What are they today? What they are today is what they'll be tomorrow, but they'll cover it up. They will cover it up. Any other questions, Mary Ellen?
Are the Clintons able to be held accountable for their crimes, or is it a waste of time? Are they above the law?
They're not above the law, and they can be held accountable for some of their crimes. Some, as I have foretold y'all, some of the crimes, thanks to Comey giving them a permanent pass on, no, they can't. But let me give you an example of a problem Bill Clinton's got as it relates to Epstein. You know, there's no statute of limitation on child molestation. There's not. Now you may say, well, did Bill Clinton, was he the kind of guy to mess with underage girls? I can tell you personally, yes, he is. Yes, he is. There was a Sheridan cheerleader, still in high school, I think she's in the 11th grade, that Bill Clinton and Dan Lassiter and Tyson and the boys all took to their playpen, did everything with her, got her hooked on drugs, and her father found out. Well, they basically took her away from her father and sent her out to Las Vegas, and she became a prostitute. There was a time when we were all going to Angel Fire, New Mexico, one of Lassiter's little housing or condo places that he had. We were going there. Me, Hubble, Clinton, Tyson, Lassiter, we were all on the plane. They stopped at a place right across the border in Mexico, picked up two young teenage Mexican hookers, took them to Angel Fire, New Mexico, had their way. One of the girls OD'd on cocaine or heroin, whatever they were doing at the time. We all panicked, or they all panicked, and made everybody get on the plane. We come back, go back to that airport, and took the little girl and threw her in a dumpster. Flew home. So yeah, Bill Clinton has a tendency to go for had a tendency to go for the younger girls. And his connection to Epstein may cause him trouble, big time.
Hope so. Okay, thanks, Larry, for all you do. If Larry could advise President Trump on his media campaign, what are the issues and slogans that you would suggest?
Never socialism. Never, never socialism. President Trump should talk about what he has done relative to his promises when he campaigned. That's his strong suit. He has lived up to or tried to live up to the promises he made in his campaign. That's what makes him unique as a modern day president. Very few, if any, have ever done that of late. He must talk about that. I would suggest he soften some of his bragging or talking about the economy, because as y'all know, and he knows, there is a plan to tank the economy right before the election. Yesterday was not it. And that can come back to hurt him. Not to mention what we've talked about here, the number of people that, even though supposedly the economy's doing great, if you're still unemployed, it's not so great for you. If you're still making not much money, it's not so great for you. And that's a large contingent of the population. And so him talking about how great the economy is, if he's not careful, can be used against him, as Bill Clinton did to Daddy Bush. Remember when Clinton was running against Daddy Bush, the economy was in pretty good shape. But Bill Clinton and his people started saying it's the economy, stupid, and they started convincing people that they were in worse shape than they really were. And people bought into it, started believing it, and that's what beat President Bush. They'll use that strategy on President Trump relative to the economy. And that's a large voting contingent. So that part of it, that's what I would do. And then I would stay on Never Socialism. And as he gets closer to the actual race, as it starts to mature, I think you will see President Trump. I hope you will see him get more defined about the socialist agenda that the Democrats are planning. But if he's smart, and he's biding his time, and he's letting the Democrats unveil a lot of their socialist plans, as they're all trying to out giveaway stuff in their primaries. So let them get it out. Let them bring that stuff out. Let them show socialist plans. And then when you get in the election, drive it home.
Do you trust Barr 100%? I know we go over this a lot.
You know, I can only say that as of now, William Barr looks to be doing exactly what he should be doing. When it comes to Washington, D.C., other than President Trump, you know, I don't believe any of them. You can't believe anybody that has been associated and involved with Washington, D.C. You just can't. Okay. So I always put that adviso out. You know, yes, I believe Barr's doing right, but can I trust him 100%? I can't make that promise to you.
What
I
about?
Wish I could, but I can't. What
about Grassley? Is he trustworthy?
No. Anybody that's been involved with Washington, D.C., certainly at the congressman senatorial level, you better watch out. They can be good today and turn on you tomorrow. That's what's wrong. That's what's wrong with our form of government. It's not our form of government, folks. It's the people. I'm sure there are a few people, although I can't totally tell you who they are, but I'm sure there are a few people that are clean and good. But me personally, I don't bet on any of them. And right now, we have the most power because they've all got to get reelected. This is the one time every 2 years where we have some power. But after the election, it will be gone. Hold it down, Rosie. Hold it down, baby.
Okay, a question about the Rhinos. Do they not realize the danger is real for our country? Isn't that the problem? Is they're part of the danger?
Right. They realize it, folks. But in Washington, they know that when this thing goes down, you want to be in the elitist group. You want to be there, because if you make it to the committee, then you've got it made and your family's got it made the rest of your life. You don't want to be on the outs with them. So yeah, they all know it, but they're nervous and they will be careful, what their plans are, I guess is the best way to say it.
How does socialism benefit them?
Well, socialism benefits the people that are in power. If you're a part, when I say the committee, what happens when it goes to socialism? You have a figurehead, which we'll call the president, right? But then there will be a committee. And this committee will make all the decisions for the country. And if you're on that committee, you're big time. You got it made. Maybe they'll call them senators in Congress. I don't know what they'll call them, but that's what it'll be.
Do you know anything about the death of Tony Rodham? There's been no obituary or funeral or memorial announced.
No, do not.
Let's see. Somebody said all their policies are socialist. That's a big hint about where they stand.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the Russian defector Yuri Bezmenov? Is that what caused the rise of communism?
Don't know.
Is Joe Biden in the same class as Bill Clinton?
Yes. Yes. He's got his little, he's got his fetishes just like Bill did. Joe Biden during his day was quite the woman abuser. He had even been known for beating women up that didn't conform to his wishes.
This was Biden?
Biden, yes.
Do you think Fox will turn on Trump as the election draws closer?
Don't know. I don't know. If I had to bet, and this is just a bet, guys, I'm going to say no, because Fox is running a very profitable organization with the stance they're taking. But I think you'll see the difference between their talk show programs like Tucker, Hannity, and Ingram and others. They will stay probably very strongly for Trump, but I think you'll see the news programs start being what they call fair and balanced, but you'll start seeing them take probably a more aggressive position against Trump, I think, my opinion.
Will the Democrats use the issues with Iran and North Korea against Trump?
Yes, they certainly will. But what's interesting is the perspective that they will use those countries against Trump. What is so sick is the perspective they will use will be detrimental to the nation, all just in the ability to use them on Trump.
We've got somebody who almost didn't vote in 2016 and is not sure he's going to vote this next time. He's sitting on the fence. What can you say to help him?
Well, to that person, I'm going to tell you the same thing I would say to everyone. And it's something we should say to everyone we talk to. If you don't vote in 2020, you did vote. you will have voted. Even if you don't go to the poll and flip a switch or fill out a ballot, if you don't vote, you will have voted for the Democratic nominee for president. That will be your vote.
And like Larry has said many times, we did not vote for Trump to be Pope or because he was perfect. But we've got to realize that he is the only one standing in the way of our becoming a socialist country.
Yeah. And I would ask everybody here, seriously, earnestly, tell me you can look at any of the Democratic nominees running. Is there any one of those that you would really want to be president of the United States? Is there?
Not to me. Okay, here's an interesting question. Do you think people in politics have been MK Ultra mind controlled or blackmailed? Is that why they become dirty rhinos?
I think most people, by the time they get to, let's say, the level of running for Congress, running for the Senate, or even for the presidency, or for governor, what's wrong with our system today is those people have gone through the course. They've gone through the school. You know, you start out being a state rep, then a state senator, and all along the way, you're taught the trappings of the offices. And then when you get to Washington, they feed off of your fetishes or your hang-ups. They feed off of that. And they use it. So everybody you see that's been for more than one or two terms in Washington, they got them. Now, they don't have them on every issue, on every point, but when it really matters, they're holding something over their head and essentially blackmailing them. Every one of them. And that's why I tell you, you just can't, when it all gets said and done, even if you love them and think they're the best congressman or senator you've ever had or whatever, remember, somebody's holding something over their head. And the one thing that all of them, every member of Congress, every member of the Senate want, the one thing they want and the one thing they care about, by the time they get to that position, is their job. They don't want to lose it. They don't want to lose it.
All right, the man who was trying, or the woman, JM, he says, I'm trying to decide if Democratic control would wake Americans up or have Trump go back into office, causing Americans to think they're safe and just go back to sleep.
That's really very astute. It truly is. I fear that if Trump wins, there are going to be a goodly number of people that are going to do just what you suggest. They're going to go back to sleep and say, we're safe, nothing to worry about. As far as if the Democrats win, people will wake up. If the Democrats win in 2020, as I've tried to tell y'all, there will be a huge, rude awakening. But there will be nothing that can be done. Now, be too late. But when you think about President Trump winning, the advantage to President Trump winning versus others that have won and then people go to sleep and think everything's safe. President Trump is truly a man, I believe, not by what he has said, but by what I have seen him do and go through. President Trump is truly a man that is committed to the well-being of our nation. He is committed to that. And as long as he's president, he's not going to let these people off. He's not going to go to sleep. He's going to be in their face. He's going to draw them out, much as he's done with that AOC and that group. He's going to draw them out. So I don't think there is as great a chance, listener, to the country going to sleep if Trump gets reelected as there would be with most any other president we've ever had. I think he'll keep the heat on because he truly wants to, when he leaves office, he wants to have fixed as much of the problems with this country as he can.
What about the relationship between Trump and Lindsey Graham?
Well, it's hard to tell because it is, election time. I don't know if Lindsey's got to run this time. He may not.
Yes, he does.
Well, if he's got to run, then that'll show you a great deal of why all of a sudden he might be a Trump person. But Lindsey, when John McCain died, Lindsey has to have somebody to hang on to. And I hope that with McCain gone, I hope Lindsey Graham has decided that he will hang on to Trump. But if he's running again, that may explain a lot of his move. Like I say, once again, you can't trust any of them. But we will use this time when we have the power again, which will be the last time we have power if we lose. But we should use this time where we have this election time power very wisely. And I intend for us to do just that. Anybody else? And then we're out of time, Mary Ellen.
Sharon asked you to repeat about why not voting is a vote for the Democrats, but I think you went over that well enough, and that was a while ago. So didn't Fox replace Tucker Carlson with Donna Brazile? I think so.
What? There was talk of it, but it hadn't happened. I don't know if that was real talk or not. He is still on as far as I know.
All right, here's a question.
See, this is another one of those things that came out on the internet. I don't know if it was ever true or not. I just don't know.
I'm reading a lot of comments. I was holding back on going through everything because I was trying to make sure I don't miss a question. Indiana already has red flag law. How do we change that?
That would have to be done at your state level. And once laws like that are in place, folks, it's very, very hard to get them rescinded, even at the state level.
All right, we got this question yesterday, so I'm going to have to ask it since it came back. With the Clinton body count, why haven't they been able to suicide you yet?
I don't think it hadn't. Well, first off, you have to have a suicide person and a suicidee. And I have been keenly aware since day one of the risk that I take, certainly that I took, where most people aren't that aware. Plus, my training has given me a lot of advantages that a lot of people don't have. But don't be so foolish as to think they haven't tried.
Many, many, many times, and I have seen the scars on your upper chest from attempts. So, folks, he bears some really serious scarring from what they've tried to do.
Well, somebody tried to do it. Of course, I can't pin it on them for sure.
Well, I'm not saying who they are.
Prosecute, but
whoever them or they are.
Yeah, whoever doesn't like me. So anyway, with that, unless you've got another question, let's say good day.
Yeah, let's say good day. There's a question about who will fill Trump's shoes afterwards, but we'll say.
Well, let me say to that one, that probably is one I wouldn't want to end on without answering. Who would fill Trump's shoes afterwards? First things first, we must get him reelected. Then we would have, and he would also have 4 years to help us find someone to carry the torch. But we must get him through 2020 or it won't matter.
Yes, thank you. All right, folks, thank you very much. I'm going to just reiterate that, let's see, we've got 95 people now, so that's good. Nicholslive.com is the website. You can go to the website to buy Larry's book, the Never Socialism t-shirt, Never Socialism bumper sticker, his video. I don't know if you can, let me see if I can get up here and see. This says no socialists. I think it might be able to be changed to no socialism if we do it again. This necklace is available on the Nichols Live and his CD on nicholslive.com. If you can't get into the merchandise area, have a problem, please send a text to 240-499-6729. There's a donate page on the website. If you need an alternative, the text number is there, 240-499-6729. I can help you figure out how to donate if you want to do that. Sandy, if you will text me 240-499-6729 and tell me how to make the chat donation link possible, we will set it up, but I don't know how to do that. So I could use some help if you know how to do it. Thank you, guys. Larry, you can hear at the end of his voice here, we've got a problem. So he's going to need some help with some medication to help take care of the scratch now that he's gotten his throat. We have a conference call happening right now. We're late getting to it. I know we've got somebody waiting for us in Canada, so we're going to get to that right away. The phone number for that is 712-451-0725, and the access code is 492-215#. Thank you for being here, and this information is in the description under the video, and just click on the title and it'll drop down and you get the contact to donation and conference.
Thank you all for coming, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, bye folks.